Jeffrey Degner is joining me now, an economist with the American Institute for Economic Research. Francis Newton is the Chief Investment Officer for Tuttle Wealth Partners. Gentlemen, good to see you. Madam and gentlemen, good to see both of you here. Jeffrey, let me start with you if I can. This thought of gas prices going up to where they are, $3.58 a gallon, a couple weeks ago it was $2.99. You hear the White House say, relax, it's temporary, and if anything, it will essentially offset itself. Do you believe that?
Well, the Gulf of Hormuz will tell the tale. And one of the things for consumers to keep an eye on as they watch financial news like us is that for every $10 of $10 per barrel, prices at the pump will change by about 25 cents. And so that can go in either direction. And with the news of 3 tankers being hit just in the last 24 hours, I think we're going to continue to see some upward pressure on oil prices. But again, time will tell. And so a swift resolution here is really going to be key, not just for consumers, but also for shippers in the U.S. For every $10 change we see in a barrel of oil, we see 35 cents change in the price of diesel. So that gets to your shipping costs and also touches in the farming area as well. So time will tell, but the swifter this thing comes to an end, the better off everyone will be.
Yeah, it's just difficult for Americans, right? Because there's a lot of cheering in news when the prices of a barrel of oil comes down and there's celebration on social media. That's not reflected in gas prices, and we need to have an honest conversation about that. It doesn't happen instantaneously the way we see it in the global markets. Let's get to the point, Francis, that was brought up by Jeffrey. President Trump continuing his effort to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. He talked about this on Truth Social. So here's what he posted, and I'll show it to you. He says, if Iran has put out any mines in the Hormuz Strait, and we have no reports of them doing so, we want them removed immediately. He goes on to say, last night, the U.S. striking 16 Iranian mine-laying ships. That's what Jeffrey was talking about. The impact the Strait of Hormuz has, and potentially having these mines, if you will, in this field, and the insurance issues with the vessels, how does that impact the energy sector on a global scale, Francis?
Yeah, well, it disrupts a lot of flows. And particularly, I like to look at the very big chessboard and the very big picture when it comes to the Trump administration. It affects flows of oil into China. And China gets approximately 45% of its imports through that Strait of Hormuz. And when you look at what the Trump administration is trying to do with its economic policies, it's trying to remain competitive against China in the global markets. We have 26% of the world's GDP. China has 17% of the world's GDP. So you literally have to look at every geopolitical move as being on this chessboard to increase leverage with China, whether it's Greenland and the minerals or whether it's, chaos in Iran. That all has to do with energy flows into China. So that's what you want to look at. As far as the global markets are concerned, these costs will get elevated. There's a lot of volatility. I don't know how it's going to ameliorate or pan out, but Trump, his one point of kryptonite is when rates spike, because that threatens the U.S. economy. So we noticed that on Liberation Day with the bond vigilantes, and we noticed that again when oil prices moved higher drastically. It was like a 30% move in one day, which was historic. That affects rates. And the minute it affects rates, that's kind of when Trump backs off, because, of course, we are over-levered in this country. But you just really have to look at the much larger picture. Now, the thing that he has to answer for is affordability in the midterms.
Yes.
So he's going to resolve this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Jeff, that's the message, right? The president touring 2 states today talking about affordability. That's going to be a tough message to sell when you have you're at one point $2 a gallon for gas and now $3.50. That hurts everyday Americans, people that are living paycheck to paycheck, which is millions of Americans. Let me get to a broader point, though. Releasing hundreds of gallons of oil to produce, or rather to offset some of these costs, 400 million barrels specifically. This from the International Energy Agency that you see here from Reuters. This is in response to the oil price surge. How will this help?
Well, it's a simple supply and demand question. And by releasing these 400 million barrels per day, we should recognize that this is more than twice the amount that was released at the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So the IEA is taking this situation very seriously and attempting to bring oil and energy costs down throughout the world. Now, on the U.S. side, one of the advantages that America has, especially with respect to natural gas production, is that we have fantastic infrastructure, especially compared to Europeans and Asians, where they pay about 3 to 4 times the price for natural gas. What that means for American households is that because natural gas accounts for about 40 to 45% of your electric production, that will actually soften the blow a little bit. And I think if the president can run on some decent CPI numbers that have just come out, as well as emphasizing the lower costs for natural gas with respect to the rest of the world, that can be a part of a winning message.
Yeah, that came out this morning, 8:30 this morning. Inflation remains steady. Did not increase, did not decrease, right at 2.4%. Decent news for the administration. We do appreciate that. That is Jeffrey Degner, Francis Newton. Good to see both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So